Listen, I need you to hear this, not just with your ears, but with every part of you that knows you were meant for something more. You are not stuck, you are not broken, and you are not behind. You're just in a moment where it's time to wake up and build the life you want. Not the life you settled for, not the life people expect you to live, but the life that makes you light up when no one's watching. You don't get that life by waiting. You don't get it by scrolling. You don't get it by hoping someone will come along and hand it to you with a perfect little plan. You get it by doing. You get it by deciding. Every single person you admire, every success story that makes your heart pound, they weren't born special. They weren't handed a golden map. They were just like you. Scared, tired, full of doubts, and surrounded by distractions. But they did one thing that changed everything. They started. I don't care if you feel unmotivated. I don't care if it's been years since you felt excited. That's not your truth. That's your rut. And the only way out is through action, tiny action, consistent action. Because motivation is garbage. It's not coming to save you. You are the only one who can save you. You think you need confidence to begin. You don't. You need courage. Confidence comes later. Confidence is the result. But courage is a decision. It's what you do in that 5-second window between idea and hesitation. You know what I'm talking about? That moment when you feel pulled to change something. If you don't act then, your brain will kill it. That's the window. That's your shot. You want to change your life? Then start by changing your mornings. Stop waking up like your dreams don't matter. Get up. Make your bed. Move your body. Do something uncomfortable on purpose. Show your brain that you're in charge. That's how you start winning. That's how you start showing up for the future you deserve. You are capable of more than you can imagine, but capability means nothing without execution. Dreams don't work unless you do. And yes, it will be hard. And yes, it will take longer than you want. But if you keep going, if you keep showing up, if you keep choosing your future over your fear, your life will change. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop shrinking to fit into a version of life that doesn't challenge you. You have one life, and it's not a dress rehearsal. This is it. Stop waiting to feel motivated. That feeling you're hoping will suddenly show up, it's not coming. And if it does, it won't last. That's the hard truth. We've been conditioned to believe that people who change their lives or chase big dreams wake up every morning inspired and energized, that they feel some magical force pushing them forward. But that's not how it works. The people who build the life they want, they've just stopped depending on motive. They've replaced it with something way more reliable, action. Think about it. How many times have you had an idea, a plan, a vision for something you wanted to do? A workout, a business, a hard conversation, a fresh start. You probably felt a little spark in the beginning. But then what happened? You hesitated. You overthought it. You scrolled. You told yourself you'd start Monday. And that idea, it faded. Not because you didn't care, not because you weren't capable, but because you waited for motivation to make it easy. The truth is, you don't need motivation to act. You need movement. When you start doing the thing, when you take a small step, even if it's clumsy or uncomfortable, that's when your brain shifts. It begins to focus. It begins to wake up. That small action triggers something real. And slowly your energy builds, your momentum builds. And guess what shows up after you've acted? Motivation. It follows your lead, not the other way around. If you sit around waiting to feel motivated to change your life, you'll be waiting forever. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you're human. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. Safe often means still. Safe often means familiar. So every time you think about stepping out, your mind starts sending alarms. Don't do it. It's too hard. You're too tired. It won't work. And in that hesitation, you stop. Not because you can't, but because you're letting the waiting win. You want to know what builds a new life? It's not feeling fired up every day. It's showing up every day, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when you'd rather quit. That's where the shift happens. That's how discipline is built. That's how you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation of the life you want. You take one uncomfortable action. You keep the promise you made to yourself this morning, not because you were motivated, but because you said you would. That's the moment that changes everything. Over time, those tiny actions compound. You prove to yourself that you don't need to be in the mood to take control of your life. You just need to move. The secret to transformation isn't a perfect plan, a dream board, or an inspiring video. It's learning to act without a feeling attached to it. That's it. And the beauty of this is that it's 100% in your control. No one can give it to you, but no one can take it away either. You want to feel different? You want to be someone who doesn't procrastinate, who takes care of their body, builds their business, changes their story? Then stop sitting around waiting to be inspired. Make the move. Do the thing. Get uncomfortable. That's how it starts. Not with a rush of motivation, but with one small act of courage. Every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't. There's a 5-second window between knowing what you need to do and talking yourself out of doing it. That's the moment that decides your future. 5 seconds may sound small, but that window is where every dream lives or dies. The second your intuition tells you to act, whether it's to get up, to speak up, to hit send, to take that chance, you have a tiny gap before fear, doubt, and excuses show up to crush it. If you don't move within those 5 seconds, you probably won't move at all. This isn't about hype or positive thinking. It's about how your brain works. Your mind is designed to protect you. It's constantly scanning for risk, for uncertainty, for anything uncomfortable. So when you think of doing something new or challenging, your brain immediately throws on the brakes, not because you're lazy or weak, but because your system is wired for survival, not success. Success is risky. Change is scary. So unless you override that programming, you'll hesitate. And hesitation is the kiss of death for growth. When that impulse hits to speak up in the meeting, to send the resume, to go to the gym, to call the client, you have 5 seconds to take control. That's it. 5 seconds to beat your own mind at its own game. Because if you hesitate, your brain will fill the space with all the reasons you shouldn't. It will give you stories, excuses, and perfectly logical lies to keep you exactly where you are. And if you listen to it, you'll blink and another day, another month, another year will pass and nothing will have changed. But when you use that 5-second window, when you feel the tug to act and you count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you interrupt the autopilot. You cut off the doubt before it grows. You shift from thinking into doing. That simple countdown becomes a tool to launch yourself forward before fear takes the wheel. You take the action before the excuses arrive. And it doesn't have to be a huge move. You don't need to fix your whole life in one leap. You just need to beat hesitation in that single moment. And here's what's powerful. Once you train yourself to respond to that 5-second impulse consistently, your life begins to shift. Not all at once, but piece by piece. You start building a habit of action. You stop living at the mercy of your moods or your fears. You become the kind of person who moves. And that changes everything. You send the email, you take the walk, you ask for help, you raise your hand. Each one of those moments is a brick in the foundation of the life you actually want. People don't fail because they don't have ideas. They don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they hesitate. They let 5 seconds of fear stop 5 years of progress. The dream didn't die because it wasn't possible. It died because someone paused long enough to let fear make the decision. This is how you take control back. You act when you don't feel like it. You move before your brain can kill the spark. You trust the impulse, not the excuses. Those 5 seconds are everything. They are the difference between the life you have and the life you want. And they're always available to you every day, in every situation. It's never too late. All it takes is one decision, one countdown, one small moment of courage, 5 seconds. That's the doorway to your future. Confidence is not the starting point. It's the outcome. So many people never take the first step toward their goals because they're waiting to feel confident, to feel sure, to feel like they know what they're doing. But confidence doesn't come before the action. It comes from doing the thing that scares you over and over until you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. What you really need at the beginning is not confidence, it's courage. Courage is raw. Courage is shaky. Courage is what you have when you don't yet believe in yourself, but you move anyway. It's easy to look at someone who's successful, someone who seems fearless, and assume they were born with something special, natural charisma, natural talent, natural confidence. But you're not seeing the moments that built that. You're not seeing the times they stood in front of the mirror terrified, the times they failed, the times they wanted to quit. Confidence is not a gift. It's earned through action, through showing up scared and doing it anyway. It's built like a muscle, one uncomfortable rep at a time. In the beginning, you won't know what you're doing. That's normal. You'll feel exposed, uncertain, and like you're in over your head. That's also normal. You may look ridiculous. People may not take you seriously. You might fail. In fact, you probably will. But none of that is a sign you're not ready. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign you're doing what most people never have the guts to do. Step into something without a guarantee. That's courage. And courage always comes before confidence. You don't get confidence by sitting around thinking about it. You don't get it by reading another book or waiting for the perfect moment. You get it by doing. You make the call. You introduce yourself. You say yes to the opportunity, even though you feel like an imposter. And when it doesn't go perfectly, because it won't, you show up again the next day. That is what builds self-trust. And when you trust yourself, when you know you can rely on yourself to take action even when it's uncomfortable, confidence becomes inevitable. You need to understand that fear doesn't mean stop. Fear doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're stepping into something unfamiliar, and that's exactly where growth happens. If you wait to feel confident before you act, you'll stay stuck. You'll keep planning and dreaming, but never executing. The people who actually build the life they want are the ones who start scared. They don't wait for the fear to disappear. They simply feel it and act anyway. The courage to begin is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what gets you into the game. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. And the best part? Courage doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes courage is a quiet decision to show up again, to hit send, to take one more step. That's the kind of courage that transforms you. And each time you act with courage, no matter how small, you collect proof. Proof that you didn't die, proof that you survived discomfort, proof that you're capable of far more than you gave yourself credit for. That proof builds self-respect. It builds belief. And one day you'll look back and realize you're not faking it anymore. You are confident. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you earned it. Through every moment, you chose courage over comfort. That's the formula. That's the truth. Courage first, confidence later, always. Feeling stuck is one of the most frustrating places to be. You know you want something different, maybe a new job, a healthier lifestyle, a relationship that feels alive, or a purpose that actually excites you. But it feels like you're standing in cement. The days blur together. the passion fades. You start to question if you're just not meant for more. But here's the truth most people won't say out loud. You're not stuck. You're afraid. Fear is the invisible wall keeping you in place, and the longer you call it being stuck, the more power you give it. Fear wears many disguises. Sometimes it shows up as procrastination. You'll tell yourself you're just waiting for the right time. Sometimes it shows up as perfectionism. You convince yourself you can't start until it's perfect. Sometimes it's disguised as logic. You make excuses that sound responsible. I need more information. I need more experience. I need more money. But underneath all of it is fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. And the cruel part is fear doesn't shout. It whispers. It's subtle. It makes you second guess yourself so much that eventually you stop trying. But if you take an honest look at your life, you'll start to notice something. The areas where you feel the most stuck are usually the ones where fear is driving the bus. You're not powerless. You're paralyzed by possibility, by all the what ifs running through your mind. What if I mess this up? What if they laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? But here's another what if, worth considering. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your willingness to move despite the fear? You're not stuck. You're scared. And that's not a flaw. It's being human. But being human also means you have the ability to choose. You get to choose whether you stay in the same loop or whether you interrupt it. That first step doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Send the email. Sign up for the class. Say no when you usually say yes. Say yes when you usually shrink back. That one small move can start a chain reaction that leads you out of the cage you didn't even realize you built around yourself. Your brain is always going to try to keep you safe. That's its job. But safety isn't the same as fulfillment. Staying where you are might feel comfortable, predictable even. But comfort zones become prisons if you live in them too long. You weren't meant to live numb. You weren't meant to keep silencing the part of you that wants more. That whisper in you, the one that keeps asking for change, for meaning, for excitement. It's not going away, and it shouldn't. It's the real you, buried under layers of fear. You don't break out of fear by thinking your way through it. You break out by moving. Fear doesn't disappear before you act. It fades after you act first. You disrupt the pattern. You prove to yourself that you're capable of feeling fear and choosing courage anyway. The more you do it, the more you train your nervous system to handle uncertainty. That's when growth starts. That's when stuck turns into progress. Fear is loud when you're silent. It grows when you stay still. But the second you move, even just a little, the power starts to shift. You stop living on autopilot. You stop accepting stuck as your identity, and you start writing a different story, one where you're no longer the one waiting to be rescued. You're the one who realizes the door was never locked. You just had to stop waiting and start walking. No one is coming. That may sound harsh, but it's one of the most liberating truths you will ever accept. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to change your life, to validate you, rescue you, push you, believe in you, is the moment you take your power back. Because as long as you keep hoping that someone else will show up and do the hard work for you, you'll stay exactly where you are. Change doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself. And the life you want will only happen when you decide that you're the one responsible for building it. It's easy to blame our circumstances, to say, I can't because of my past, or I would if I had more support, or I'm waiting until things calm down. But that mindset keeps you stuck in the passenger seat of your own life. You weren't born to be a spectator. You were born to create, to build, to take control. The truth is, no one cares about your dreams as much as you do. They're not supposed to. That's your job, your responsibility, your mission. And that's not bad news. It's the best news. Because if it's on you, that means you don't need permission. You don't need the perfect timing. You don't need someone else to believe in you before you start. All you need is the willingness to take action, even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it scares you. That willingness is where everything begins. People waste years waiting for the right moment, the right words, the right opportunity, the right partner. But the right moment is now. You'll never feel fully ready. Life doesn't come with a sign that says today is the day. You make it the day. You decide. You show up, and then you keep showing up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's how real change happens. You will fail. You will get knocked down, and there will be days when no one claps for you, when no one notices the effort you're putting in, when it feels like you're going nowhere. But that's the test. That's the moment where most people give up. Don't be most people. The people who build something meaningful, who create lives they're proud of, are the ones who keep going when no one's watching. They don't rely on external validation. They create their own momentum. Losing anyway. This life is yours, and no one is more qualified to live it than you. That doesn't mean you'll know what to do every step of the way. You won't. It means you trust yourself to figure it out. It means you stop waiting for clarity and start creating it through action. It means you become the kind of person who takes full ownership, not just of the wins, but of the mistakes, the missteps, the lessons. That kind of radical responsibility is rare, but it's also powerful. When you stop expecting someone else to solve it, fix it, or do it for you, you become unstoppable. Because the truth is, everything you need is already in you. The discipline, the grit, the ideas, the fire. You just have to stop outsourcing your power and start using it. Stop blaming, start building, stop waiting, start moving. You're not waiting on anyone. You are the one you've been waiting for all along. The life you want is on the other side of ownership. No one's coming. And that's exactly why you can start right now, because it's yours to create. The life you want isn't something you find. It's something you build, one bold decision at a time. It doesn't require luck, permission, or perfect conditions. It requires action. It requires courage. It requires you to stop waiting and start moving. Every breakthrough begins with a choice: to act without motivation, to move within 5 seconds of your instinct, to be brave before you feel ready, to face fear head on, and to take full ownership of your future. No one's coming to do it for you, but that's your greatest power, because it means you hold the pen, you control the pace, and you decide what comes next. So start now, start scared, start small. Just don't stand still. The life you want is waiting on the other side of everything you're willing to do about it. Thank you.